Hey guys, welcome to this week's Film Guild. I am Jason. I'm here with my co-host Fred. Say hey, buddy.
What's going on, guys?
Well, how are you doing this week?
I am doing kind of shitty, actually. Super fucking tired.
Oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that.
Another month and I'm off this 5 a.m. shit.
That is awesome. Before we get started, any immediate thoughts on last week? How you feeling about last week? It was our
Honestly,
premiere.
I liked last week.
Premiere
wasn't
episode
it for
last
the
week.
2 hours?
It was an hour and 43 minutes. We actually posted it as 2 parts
Yeah.
at the same time, which I kind of said at the beginning, like we're getting there.
But I was super psyched with how quick you got us up on iTunes and everything. I was expecting it to take a lot longer.
It was a little easier. I'd just like to shout out real quick to SoundCloud. They actually make the RSS stuff like super easy. So the longest process it took was actually getting approved by Apple and having them listed up there. I think I submitted our thing at like noon, and it took till like 11 or 12 that night to actually show up.
Oh, but that's not super horrible.
No, but I'm an impatient person.
Right. Well, Smeg, this week we're kicking off with a bit of Would You Rather.
Released in October of 2012 at Screamfest, directed by David Guy Levy, who did like one other movie before this, A Love Affair of Sorts.
He did a couple of them, but like I was looking at his IMDb page because I was curious. But this is like his first big horror release.
Yeah, it was like he's done a lot of short films and stuff before that.
Would you classify this as horror? I mean, I guess thinking about it, it's more like a thriller type thing, kind of closer to Saw, but people also call Saw a horror film.
Saw is definitely a horror film, but I would say this is maybe a little more thriller-esque.
I get that, yeah.
I don't know. It was written by Stefan Schlachtenhaufen.
So is that German or?
I have no idea. It's awesome though. Coolest writing credit in the world. Yeah, so it's got Brittany Snow from Pitch Perfect. It's got the most amazing Jeffrey Combs from The Reanimator, Frighteners, Parasomnia, and House on Haunted Hill.
Oh shit, is that what he's? Oh, that's why. Yeah,
absolutely. He was the Reanimator. It's got Lawrence Gillard Jr., who was from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And some other people that I didn't really know as well. It had the dad from Home Alone. That's how I wrote him down in all my notes. The dad from Home Alone.
Let's leave out the really special one until we actually get to the point where you recognized that special someone.
Yeah, I didn't, and I'd just like to point out her wonderful lines too when we get to that point. So, so it's available on Netflix streaming. It runs 93 minutes, so it's not that bad. You were actually just commenting before I hit go. It was really funny because before we hit go, we started talking about the movie, and I was like, maybe we should actually start.
Yeah, we should save this for the podcast, maybe just a little bit.
So what were you saying? Because I had mentioned, hey, it's 93 minutes long, but you had kind of talked about how it didn't feel like that.
It doesn't feel like it. Like once you hit maybe about the halfway mark, it feels like it goes by so damn fast. Like I didn't realize that I was approaching the end until about the very last round of the game.
Yeah, I definitely think once the game starts, it starts picking up some pace. Up to that point, the first act.
Well, because it's like round one, though, was really kind of slow in my opinion. Like it was kind of a thing where it's like, oh man, I really wish that this would speed up just a little bit.
Absolutely, and I like to point out, just like every other time, that our cast is going to include major spoilers if we don't just end up giving the whole thing away. So if you haven't seen Would You Rather,
I guarantee we're going to give the whole thing away.
Yeah, oh yeah, we are. Hit pause, go check it out on Netflix, come back. If you've already seen it, tweet us or post on Facebook, tell us what you thought of it. And that way you don't ruin anything for you. So yeah, so once the game gets started, the first round is real kind of a little grindy. And then it kind of picks up pace after that.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you wanna start just at the very beginning?
Yeah, sure.
Or was there some other more like sort of prelude stuff? Or do you want to just take it as it comes?
No, we can get into it. There's 2 things I like to point out at the beginning. Is the very fact that from the get-go, you know what kind of movie you're getting into, because the opening credits spell the production company wrong.
Oh, wait, does it really?
Yeah, they spell Periscope wrong.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how it's spelled, but it's like it's like Periscope Pictures or Productions or something, and it's like Periscope or something like that. Like it was like an extra I or something. So, shout out to the credits people.
So, Smeg, actually, before we get started, what you drinking tonight?
Actually, tonight I'm having a Blue Moon Belgian White Ale.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got somebody, the other night, my brother David was here, and somebody drank one of the 2 bottles left that you left me of different stuff. So now I only have like a caramel thing left, so I'm saving that for week 3.
Okay, cool, cool,
So,
cool.
so yeah, what are you doing? What are you drinking tonight?
Well, tonight I got a little bit of Virgil's Black Cherry Cream Soda.
Oh God, that sounds so good.
It's I had one the other day because I picked up a 4-pack from Winco because I was doing that usual. I gotta waste time while the coffee shop's parking lot clears out.
Right.
So I was like, I'll pick up a cream soda type thing for the podcast. So I picked this up. It's not great though. It tastes a little bit like cough syrup at first,
Oh.
and it doesn't really improve from there.
I was really hoping you were going to tell me it was amazing because it really does.
It sounded amazing. Now they've got another brand of black cherry cream soda down there, but it was a 6-pack and it was like $2 more. So I was a little hesitant to pick it up. I might give that one a shot next week, or I've still got like 2 things from last week.
Awesome
to try. I guess we could open up with clearly the lady character. What was her name? Iris.
Iris, yes.
Which is definitely a name.
Yes, it's also a flower.
Well, isn't it also part of the eye?
It is. Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Nice.
Yeah, that's what I linked it to. But anyway, so clearly she's like opens up on a waitress interview for some diner, right?
Yes.
And guy's kind of weird. He's bitching about how she doesn't have any restaurant experience and everything.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense to me because I don't associate being a waiter with being a like experience necessary position.
Right.
But I mean, take that as you will.
Right. My whole thing is I thought it was like a bunch of really awkward writing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I felt like the dialogue was super awkward. One of the things I learned that they covered in screenwriting class was like you don't want your dialogue to ever be like super realistic because nobody really wants to hear super realistic. So like it drives me nuts when I play back our stuff because I say a lot.
Right.
You could tell there was very purposeful set in their dialogue. And,
yeah, I get that.
You know, where it was like yeah.
But see,
it was very like
for me though, because whenever I'm writing, I write as I would speak. So you know, there's a lot of and likes and stuff in my dialogue.
Right. Normally, I think you would like put it in kind of naturally, though.
I get that. I mean, I whenever I have had somebody come in to record stuff, I've let them open that up to interpretation. But it's still like just say when I'm trying to put it in there, yeah, give them a feel for how the character should be.
Right. I felt like in the first like 5 or 10 minutes there was a lot of very purposely reading the script. As opposed to kind of going, you guys are in a really awkward, nervous situation, so go with that. It was a lot of, okay, the script says, I'm going to talk to somebody about this. And it's like, it just felt very stiff.
Think about it, it felt very Birdemic, actually, now that I'm replaying that whole thing in my head. It's like something about it felt very, like the timing of it felt very Birdemic-esque.
Yes, and actually, to be honest with you, it's awesome that you said that because there's a couple of things in this film that I actually like harken back to Birdemic, if you can believe it or not.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think I ever made that connection.
A couple of things. It's a stretch, but you know, it made me think of Birdemic, so it made me laugh. And actually, the dialogue in the opening interview scene is, and but the problem with that is there's some key exposition in there. You find out that her brother's sick. She's moved back home. You know, she doesn't have much work experience. She was, I think, in school. Yeah,
she was in school, and then something, made her have to leave.
Right. Their parents died, and I don't think it ever says how. But
yeah, I was looking on my second watch through to figure out if they ever talk about it, but they don't really.
Right. And so she's come back home to take care of her brother who has leukemia. And it's kind of she's in some dire straits. They project it, that.
Yeah, I mean they've got the classic like sitting in at the table with a stack of different bills and everything.
Right, which also, by the way, was also kind of an awkward scene to me. I didn't feel like it was.
Well, that's the thing is, for me, the most awkward part about that was was her brother, just because something about like the fact of how he was turned away from the camera the whole time, and it just something about it felt very weird to have somebody talking but not see them.
Right.
Yeah,
I felt like I don't know if maybe it was some ADR or something, but there were some pauses there. I kind of went, what is going on? Like, so she says to him like, oh, hey, I have to go to the clinic to talk to Dr. So-and-so. And he says maybe there's a way we can like get some cheaper medical thing. And there's like a 2-second pause and he goes, how? And then like there's another second pause and she's like, well, I don't know. And I had to like 10 seconds to look because he actually turns around and he does this like, is there some of this? And he does like a jack off.
Oh, I was about to bring that up, yeah.
And
which, here's the thing is, my first view, I kind of laughed at that,
Yeah.
A little juvenile, I'll admit, but I kind of laughed. My second time though, I'm like, so, here's the thing is that's a weird thing to insinuate. So I was wondering if maybe she's been having to provide favors like that in the past.
I actually thought the same thing because he does that. And the problem is he does the motion like kind of like at the bottom of the frame. So I didn't I didn't quite catch it, and I'm like, what is he talking about?
My thing is that he does that, and then like her reaction wasn't in a "oh yeah, that's joking." It's in a "yeah, we might have to do that again."
Yeah, exactly. He says, you know, is there gonna be some of this? She goes, maybe. Yeah, thanks for that. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my, you know.
Yeah,
no.
see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so, you know, how many people we talking here? Okay, so on a scale of, no, I can't go there yet. Damn it.
Yeah, so you establish very quickly they're in some dire straits. You know, obviously the house is up for sale and been sold, so you know that they're having a lot of money problems.
See, I didn't notice that it was sold yet. I only saw the for sale sign during the, like the very end of the film.
Yeah, when she walks out to get in the car later on, there's a sold tag underneath it.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So, you know, so she's like, okay, you're going to be okay. I'm going to go to this. And then she goes to the doctor's office.
Yeah.
And walks in. And my very first note is like, holy shit, it's the Reanimator.
See, that's my thing is I hadn't pictured, or I hadn't caught that.
And his name is what? Shepard something or other.
It's Shepard Lambert or something like that. It's the name of the foundation. Of the charity foundation, which also is the name of one of the production companies.
Absolutely. I was wondering if you caught that at the beginning or not. But yeah.
I didn't, but I caught that from the IMDb trivia page. So
right. And you meet the doctor who's taking care of him, who's a little off. He seems a little off.
I don't have an actual name for him. I kept calling him Doc. Yeah, I know that they gave it at some point, but I didn't write it down.
Yeah, it's Dr. Barton.
Right.
And
right.
And he's played by the guy that played Bob in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And he's a little off.
So I wasn't racist. I'm happy about that.
Wow.
We got that game Danny Trejo a racist. This still extends to that.
That's okay, because I totally felt like one later on, and I'll tell you why. But so this is where the premise gets introduced to us. So what's the deal? How can she get treatment cheaper?
Well, she has to basically come to his house.
Come to Shepard.
Come to Shepard's house. Right. Yeah. They will have to compete with a bunch of other people in some sort of game, and if they win, they basically get provided for with everything. Like they are set for life basically if they win.
Right. Yes, and basically he says, you know, you have more money than you need, and we'll bypass any waiting list and get you a donor.
Now here's my thing though, right?
Yeah.
Is I honestly felt like this whole setup kind of breaches the whole doctor-patient confidentiality thing. Right? Because it's like, he would have had to talk to Shep about this.
I never even thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
That's why I was thinking my second time through, because, I mean, he's sitting on the couch when she walks in, you know, he would have had to been talked to about the whole thing to get somebody to come in. So, I mean, here's this doctor blabbing about it to his patient. Now, I get that usually this extends more towards some, like, police stuff, but, you know, or at least whenever I think of this whole clause, but still, it's...
Typically speaking, like... You know, I have a brother who's a paramedic, and my sister-in-law's a nurse, and you know they're pretty specific. Like, I can't, like, even if they talk about something that happened in the hospital, like I can't say who or anything else. Like, it's pretty tight. You know, the HIPAA stuff is a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
but you're right. And on top of that, I was kind of thinking, like, you just told her like you had the ability to find any donor and bypass lines, but only if she does something.
Yeah,
that seems a little like weird. That seems a little weird too.
Well, so there's a line of dialogue in there. I don't want to spend too much time on this scene because there's so much more to talk about.
Absolutely, go for it.
But when Shep's explaining like sort of the power of his foundation, you know, and what they do, he mentions how, you know, oh yeah, and you know we do a lot of development in like other nations, you know, help build schools and stuff, and fucking Iris responds back with, "My brother doesn't need a school." I'm like, what the fuck? Wow, well, yeah, you are kind of a bitch.
Right, and then he says, you know, you'll have more money than you'll ever possibly need. And she kind of goes, well, I mean, money would be nice, but my brother needs a transplant. I'll have to get back to you. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah,
you could bribe a hobo for his, like, femur bone or something and take it from there. Yeah, and I just wanted to say real quick to get out of this scene is she asks the doctor, you know, is this legitimate? And you find out he says yes, like my life was in ruins, I was going to lose my practice, and I played the game.
And finding this out, and you know, finding out later what the game actually is, which, spoiler alert, it's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
How the fuck is this doc not a absolute wreck?
I think he kind of is.
Well, but the thing is like, I don't know, it seemed weird, first of all, that he would participate in getting more people to come play.
Yes. And,
you know,
and there is a bit where he kind of actually backs out a little bit and says, I don't think she's right for this. And Shep, because he likes to be called Shep, tosses him like a giant thick thing of envelope and says,
and we can assume it's like about 10K.
You think so? Okay, sure.
Based off of the stack that he throws in front of Conway later.
Sure, it's a significant amount of money, and he says, do I need to be worried about this moment of weakness? Which leads me to believe that he's done this before. He's given up, some of his patience or whatever before to these games. But yeah, and the second thing is Shep himself, who I thought was kind of this weird thing where he had like a big pile of like pistachios next to him. And he was, like, eating the pistachios and, like, throwing the empty shells, like, on the couch next to him.
So here's the thing: is I wonder if that was in the script or like the actor's choice. Then
I don't know.
Like if he was like, my character, he needs to be eating pistachios.
Yeah,
right now.
he's like eating nuts, like throughout the thing. And the second thing that kind of made me laugh is, she says, I'll have to think about it. And so he says, you need to RSVP by 8:00 tonight, and he gives her a card. And he hands her the card, and I look at it, and I'm like, tell me that doesn't fucking look like the logo from Elite Hunting from Hostel. Like, right then, I'd be like,
that's what I was thinking my second time
that's okay.
looking at it. When I saw the symbol, I'm like, that looks like something out of Hostel a little bit.
Right. It
looked a little bit like a bloodhound dog.
It's like a logo with, like, flowers and stuff, and it says, whatever, Lambrick or whatever their name is. But I kind of looked at it, and I went, Jesus Christ, this looks like Elite Hunting. So we flip really quick to the house, where she's kind of asking if it's okay if she goes. She tells him she's going to go out with friends and stuff, and asks if he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and he responds, I'm just going to I'll probably just sit here, play video games or something, which I think when I was watching this first time, I messaged you with, dude, it's a total pornocopia. Like, this kid, he's not going to be sitting around playing video games. He's like, dude, finally my bitch sister is out of here. Dude, it is pornathon. Well, let's do this.
And the two things that crack me up about the scene is, one, she has a flip phone. Mm-hmm. Which, last week, flip phone. There's,
that's an odd string to tie together.
And this was in 2012 when, smartphones are pretty prevalent. But I guess maybe they're trying to show she's poor, so she's still using a flip phone.
Oh, that makes sense. Like, she can't afford to upgrade to, like, a...
Sure.
No, or maybe she's using like a pay-as-you-go type phone or whatever, like one of the track phones or whatnot.
No offense to any poor people that still have to use T9 phones. I'm sorry.
No, trust me, those things suck dick. Guys, it's 2015. Upgrade. I just got out of using one of those shitty phones, and I will never go back.
Right. The other thing was, and it made me chuckle because this was my first Birdemic reference, was the fact that he's playing a PSP.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what is it with these movies and PSPs?
Because that's the thing is, I can't think of too many people who own a PSP. I mean, to be fair, this was back it officially came out 2012, right?
Right.
I don't think PSP was popular even then.
I don't think so. But for some reason, these guys have them. And I guess maybe, I don't know, millionaires and poor people can afford them.
Unless the director put it in as a reference to Birdemic. Now, that would be great.
Possibly.
I don't think so.
So he says, okay, I got my emergency, contacts. I got my meds, do it. The next thing that kind of struck me as weird is this thing that it does, I think, 3 times in the movie, which is, like, bounce around time.
Yeah, it does it quite a bit.
And it's basically a thing where it bounces between her driving in a car and apologizing to him because her bone marrow doesn't match.
Yeah.
And him basically saying, oh, you got to let me go, or you can't be the hero. You got to learn to let things go. And it bounces between that and her digging out the card to call him because she's gotten a call back from that restaurant manager who says that he can't get her a job.
Yeah, which, by the way, that's the fastest I've ever seen somebody get a call back.
Right. Now, here's the thing. I made my mom watch this movie tonight, and she asked me if I thought that they were manipulating it so that she wouldn't get the job.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that.
And I hadn't thought about that either. And I said, well, as knowing how thick their tendrils get into stuff, it's possible. It never says, it's never intimated, but it's possible.
But here's the thing is it feels like they'd be capable of finding another player pretty quick.
Sure. But for some reason, Lambrick likes her.
Yeah, that's true.
And he tells the doc, like, she's perfect because she's fighting for herself. She's fighting for her brother. She has no family, no relatives, and nobody to call. Nobody's going to miss her.
Yeah.
But he seems very taken with her. So the driver picks her up and goes. And we jump through another, like, time thing where it's like they bounce back and forth while she's riding in the car and, the doctor and the Lambrick talking. And, I don't know. It's kind of weird. One of the scripts I'm working on in the beginning, it does this where the main character's in a car and they're thinking about agreeing to go on this trip and it bounces back and forth. And I've decided not to, like, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I've decided not to do that because it really bugs me. And for some reason, it does this several times in the movie, and it bugs me each time. I don't know.
Before we jump too far forward, so when
Sure.
she's talking to the kid, she says that she's going to go out with friends and whatnot. Why bother lying about where she's going?
I'm not sure.
Because I was just thinking that today. I was like, she could just say, "Hey, I've got an opportunity to get us some stuff. All I got to do is go participate in this like game show type thing or whatever. I don't know. You gonna be fine for the night? Cool. I'm gonna go do this then."
Yeah, and I feel like things could go a lot differently. Did seem kind of weird to me. I don't know.
Because like I got to thinking about like the ending, and it's like, man, that would have been totally different if
Absolutely,
he knew that. Hey, by the way, she's got something that might help.
Absolutely. So she goes to the house, and my first thought I wrote down is this a House on Haunted Hill, like the original?
Yeah.
Like the original.
Yeah, because I mean,
black and white.
Well, this place is huge, first of all, and then you come to find out, oh yeah, this is just like their holiday home.
Right, and this is where we meet Bevins.
Yep.
Who's,
Bevins?
Yeah.
B-Dog? What?
Yes, Bevins, who takes her into the, I don't know, the library or waiting area. I don't have
it's
a rich
the foyer,
super
come
house.
on.
Is that what it's called?
No.
That's not where people, like, stand around and talk. Whatever.
It's supposed to be an entry area, but I wouldn't consider that area one. It'd be like just sort of a... I don't know. Lobby sounds really weird.
It's like
that's not it. Receiving room?
Like a den, like a den or something.
There we go. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with the den.
I'm not rich. I don't like...
The lounge.
Sure. I'm thinking back to, like, Clue and all the rooms.
Oh, right.
It's kind of like that. So we get introduced to our characters, who I wrote down...
Oh, you did too?
I wrote down as dude from Scary Movie.
Oh, okay.
Brendan Fraser lookalike.
All right.
Rude dude who throws shit on the floor.
Okay.
Ryan O'Neal lookalike. Creepy dude in the corner.
Okay.
Goth chick on the couch.
All right.
Crazy cat lady.
All right. You want their actual names?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got the main character Iris. We got Lucas. We got Cal.
Sure.
We have Peter, Linda, Travis, Amy, and Conway.
Right. I wrote down the Ryan O'Neal lookalike before I realized that he was from Home Alone, because then the rest of my notes, it all says Home Alone dad. She takes to Cal and Lucas very quickly, and kind of like almost immediately like goes to the corner and like starts talking about the rest of the people.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though, is they were the first ones to really like receive her in. I think that's probably what helped, is because as soon as she walked in, they kind of brought her into that back area and got her caught up on everybody.
They do kind of say that, right? Like the rest of the, like they introduce themselves and like the rest of these people are blah blah blah, and kind of talk around him. You find out that they're flying them over from all over the country.
Like I think Lucas was from Seattle.
Yeah, right.
And I can't remember where the other ones were. Oh no, wait, Cal's from Seattle.
So they get there and they go to make a drink, and we get introduced to it cuts to Lambrick, who's getting ready, and we get introduced to his son, who I said, holy shit, impatient douche is the Penguin.
See, I just put I think he's Shep's kid Julian is an ass.
Yes. He's played by Robin Lord Taylor, who anybody who watches Gotham knows that he's Chester Cobblepot.
See, I still need to watch that.
Yeah, he's a very big player in Gotham. And he's done a couple of things. He was actually in Walking Dead in one episode, and some other stuff. And he's like very right off the bat. He's like impatient and just
he's
like a rich,
your basic classic spoiled rich kid.
Yeah, spoiled rich kid douche. It's like, you just want to smack him.
And Shep starts talking about like the game last year and everything, and I guess Julian did some things that he wasn't supposed to.
Yes, you never find out, but he kind of says, last year was unacceptable.
Yeah.
And he lays out the Lambrick rules, which are they observe only. They can only engage with questions and conversation. And he basically says, don't even touch them.
Yeah.
And if somebody needs to be removed, Bevins will do it. And it's like, well, already we know that Bevins is going to be a badass for some reason.
See, so here's what I was worrying about that scene, though, is Shep takes this, like, very seriously. So I was wondering if at any point he could have maybe been like Julian. Or, if there was, or if he, from the get-go, like, as soon as he was introduced to this thing, he took it as like, his duty to uphold these rules.
I think, and this is just an opinion, I think he took it seriously.
Because, I mean, whenever he's like, in that area, he's really playing it up, and he's, like, putting on a performance and everything. It seems like he's...
Oh, yeah, this is his night. This is what the family lives for every year. And, or the foundation, I guess, because it's not... He never really says the family, he says the foundation.
Yeah.
But, he kind of goes in later about how his wife died, so Julian's mom died, and he kind of doesn't really have any restraints, and I think that in today's like rich kid society, I think has probably twisted him to like that. I don't think that this Shep's like that.
Right.
But so then Bevins comes in and grabs everybody and says, "Hey, let's go have some dinner."
He grabs everybody, has everybody, give him their keys, wallet, cell phones, all that stuff. I was curious what happens to the loser's possessions. That's never really explained.
It doesn't. That's like one of those holes that you never really find out. One of the things that was kind of interesting for me is they introduce Home Alone dad.
Conway?
Conway. They introduce Conway as kind of like this sourpuss who has conspiracy theories against the Foundation.
And you never really hear those conspiracy theories, do you?
You never, because he says, like, don't get him started. But my first, like, Conway flag should be the fact that they have to leave everything in a bowl. And he says, like, I don't like this. And they're like, rules are rules. And he's like, okay. And, like, drops it in there and everybody walks off.
Did you notice that when they enter into the room, he like, peeks behind one of the curtains?
Yeah. Yeah, so we automatically recognize Cal as a nice guy because he pushes Linda is an old lady who's in a wheelchair. She's paralyzed.
Yeah.
And from the waist down. And Cal pushes her in. So you're like, oh, he's a nice guy. But that was exactly flag number 2. Conway goes to check the windows in the dining room and they're boarded up.
Well, they aren't boarded up. The wall extends all the way around, like the brick. I didn't realize it until just now as I was replaying it. But like that brick and that pattern that's on the back wall, which is very, thinking back on it, it's like very, very kind of a bizarre pattern, but it extends all the way around, and they just have the curtains hanging there, so it looks like there'd be windows there or something.
Okay, I gotcha.
Which that should have been a red flag immediately. It's like, hey, we're in a windowless room here.
He pulls the curtains back, looks at it, and like kind of shakes his head and goes to the table and sits down.
Yeah, just shakes his head, shrugs,
like,
and yeah.
What the hell? All right. So
and they've all got place cards already set up, and it seems like everybody personally is put up in a very deliberate sort of way.
Yes, and actually, Iris sits down with the two guys, with Cal and Lucas. And Travis, who's an Iraqi war veteran, is at the end of their table.
Yeah.
And he's very quiet. He sits in the corner, and it's like, they make the comment he's got a 1,000-yard stare about him. And, you can just tell, like, he's seen some shit. Like, he's not right because he's been in some really bad places. And on the other side is Conway, Peter, who is a gambling guru from Vegas, and then Linda, and at the end is Amy.
Yeah.
Do we want to say who Amy is yet?
Did you realize who Amy was by this point?
I knew because I had looked at IMDb beforehand, because I was curious.
And to be fair, if I watched the title sequence and actually looked at the character names, I would have probably picked it up. Or not the character names, but the actresses, I would have picked it up.
Yeah, I kind of knew, like, I kind of knew who she was at that point. But so Amy is Sasha Grey, former porn star extraordinaire who's gone legit.
What?
Right.
I've got a long, intimate relationship with Sasha Grey in our recordings. I don't know if you know this. I was re-listening to our very first Twitch stream, and I made a lot of jokes about Sasha Grey.
Did you really?
Well, because remember that was back in the DVDA days.
That's right.
So of course there was a lot of references to Sasha Grey. A lot of references.
That's right. So that actually forced me to go take a look at some other porn actors who had went mainstream. Do you want to hear some?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, one of the most famous is Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was in an adult film.
Yeah.
Sasha Grey, of course. Katie Morgan. I read where Katie Morgan apparently got her start in porn to pay off her bail because she got arrested for transporting 100 pounds of marijuana from Mexico into the U.S. With 100 pounds.
See, here's the thing: is I don't know how you would. Okay.
Like, where do you even hide that? Right. So anyway, she went on to make adult films, and now she's officially retired. She was in Kevin Smith's Zack and Miri Makes a Porno.
Oh, that was her?
Yeah, but she's on HBO a lot, so if you want to use my HBO Go account and check her out, you can. Of course, very famous story, Jackie Chan.
Yep. I was going to bring that up if you didn't.
Yes, Tracy Lords, of course.
Uh-huh.
Sibel Kekili, who is Tyrion Lannister's
love
of his life, right, who was in adult films before that. And I read that apparently a German tabloid dug up that it was her in these films, and her family disowned her and hasn't talked to her since. So
yeah, it was a big thing in Germany. I was just reading about that today.
Yeah, fantastic. Jenna Jameson, of course, and Ron Jeremy.
She was
the
great
Hedgehog.
in Zombie Strippers.
Yes. And Ron Jeremy, I didn't realize had been in as many movies as he had, but yeah, he's been in a bunch. So there's a long, I don't know if you probably haven't watched the How Did This Get Made episode for Crank 2, but I have not.
They've got some stories about Ron Jeremy because he kind of shows up on set.
Nice.
Once he found out that they were casting it, or they were getting a bunch of porn actors, he just kind of volunteered himself.
Yeah, and I mean, he's Ron Jeremy. Who's going to say no, right?
Well, that was their theory. It was just like, he's so full of himself now that he's like, he was wondering why he didn't get an invite. But,
so anyway, getting back, I don't want to spend too much time on porn actresses, but yeah, so Sasha Grey's in this.
Hold up, before we go,
Sure.
you missed one.
I'm sorry.
Cameron Diaz.
I did not know this.
Apparently was like a single softcore film, but still counts.
Yeah, okay, that counts. Because I think Sylvester Stallone's was too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a single film for Stallone.
Right. So there we go. Dinner starts. They bring some wine in. He introduces Bevins and his staff. And do you know what the dinner was?
It was steak, foie gras, let's see, asparagus cooked in a red wine reduction, and mashed potatoes.
It was close. You're close.
Was I?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
It's seared foie gras, which I just learned today is like fattened liver.
Yeah.
Where they take like geese and ducks and they basically force feed them with a giant tube for like 12 days.
Yeah.
And so seared foie gras, ribeye steak with a red wine reduction. And I asked my brother, who's an amazing cook, like he's chef-style cooks. And basically he said like, oh, well, you sear the steak and then you put red wine in it and you boil it off, basically, and it gives it a better taste. I'm like, okay.
Shout out to Kitchen Nightmares for, I guess, any other cooking show. That's the thing I learned today that you don't watch any cooking shows.
I need to, I guess, because you already knew all about this. I was surprised. And it was served with asparagus and garlic leek mashed potato.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'd like to say that again, because that's how Bevins describes it.
Bevins, like, I want to listen to I want to listen to Bevins read off an entire menu.
Garlic leek mashed potato. So here's kind of the first inkling of what's to come, right? What's the problem?
Well, the problem is Iris is a vegetarian, a very whiny one at that, because personally, I've been vegetarian before, and I wouldn't bring it up. I would just eat around the stuff that I couldn't eat,
Sure. And Penguin laughs at her when she says this. She's like, I'm a vegetarian. I should have brought this up. And Penguin laughs at her. And,
no, here's my thing about it. Like, so do you suppose then that Shep already knew about this?
I can't.
And that's specifically why he chose this? I mean, I don't know.
I can't tell if it's that or if he's thinking off the cuff at this point.
Yeah.
Definitely the Conway thing was planned.
Yeah.
For sure. But this one I'm not sure about. She just, like, they get into this debate about, she says, I can't eat meat. He says, no, you won't eat meat. And he says, you know what? This is the first opportunity for some money. Like a bonus round, right? Or preseason.
Yeah.
I'll give you 5K. No. I'll give you 10K to eat
it. To eat the steak and the foie gras.
Right. And so does she?
Oh, fuck yeah, she does.
Absolutely. She does.
Here's the thing is Linda makes an interesting comment during that, though.
What's that?
She basically says, that's a lot of money, you just close your eyes and eat it, it's a lot of money.
Right.
Which got me thinking, it's like, well, under Linda's reasoning, I mean, you could just take a row of dicks for any price. I was thinking, it's like, all right, Linda, $1 million. We got entirety of Bevan's staff here.
Do you think this is experience?
No denture adventure. Yes? No?
Do you think Linda's like, you know what? I've had to do some ugly things in my life.
You want to bet that, like, okay, so Linda versus Sasha Grey.
Oh my god, I'm sure Sasha...
All I'm saying is there's a reason why Linda's paralyzed from the waist down.
And they're sitting next to each other.
Oh my god, that would be the greatest rivalry. This would be the Freddy versus Jason.
Oh my god. So,
yes, I would watch this.
So the second opportunity for money comes in the form of Conway, Home Alone dad, who we find out very quickly is a recovering alcoholic. He's been sober for 16 years, and Shep makes him a similar offer.
Right, it was either the glass of wine for, I think it was like $1,000? $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Or an entire decanter of scotch, which is a lot of fucking scotch.
It's a lot of scotch.
For like $50K, right?
Yeah. And there's like this kind of showdown, eye stare. But he fucking wrecks Home Alone dad. The next scene,
well, here's my thing, and I noticed it during this, is Conway like nailed that scene personally.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like his character was having the actual internal struggle there, where it's like, he's giving me a lot of money, it's alcohol again, but it's also the alcohol again, and I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, he didn't. I agree. You could really feel it where he really was like, "Do I?"
I mean, I kind of felt this way for almost all the actors in this, but like
some
him
of them,
especially during this. Well,
some of them.
You say that, but I liked almost all of them.
Some of them. So he gets tanked. He makes his 50K, and the game officially starts. And they're like, aren't we playing?" And he's like, "No, it's starting." The game officially starts, folks, at 32 minutes and 54 seconds. They're offered
Much like our podcast.
They're offered one last chance to leave. One last chance, and Home Alone Dad gets up, and he looks at him. He's like, "Nah, I'll play. I'll play."
Which is the thing. I wonder if he would have stayed if he hadn't drunk that much.
Do you think if he was not drunk, do you think he would have left?
You know, it's possible now that I think about it. It's like now that he's drunk, he's like, look, I got this 50K, but I could have, you know, millions more if I stay.
Right. He sits
down.
I
think maybe Shep might have identified him as like the most likely to leave, and orchestrated that to keep him there.
I absolutely agree. Or he just found somebody he could really fuck with, and like,
I mean that's also possible. But the thing is, I mean, I guess he could have fucked with Travis somehow.
Here's another thing though. This guy is known to have conspiracy theories against the Foundation.
Yeah.
What better way to get rid of that than to bring him in and make him play the game, get him drunk? You know, I never even thought about that till this point either, but that's kind of smart.
Well, because that's the thing is, I guess that now, especially that he's given him this offer, if he did leave, he'd still know about the Foundation. He'd be likely to look into it and everything.
Sure.
And maybe dig up a lot of trouble, bring a lot more attention to him. But if he can make him stay here and you know, possibly get him eliminated, you know,
right.
this all goes out the window.
And if he wins anything, he's not going to tell anybody because he's set for life. So then he goes over the rules. He explains the game, which, you know, what is it? It's
Would you rather?
Would you rather?
Title drop right there.
Right. Except instead of saying like, hey, you know, Fred, would you rather have fingers that are made out of knives or 5 fingers that are penises?
Well, I mean, come on, man. You got to go with the 5-finger penises, right?
I would. How amazing would that be?
Well, because here's the thing is, I don't think the knives would be very useful. Yeah. I can probably find something to do with the penis. There's some sort of fetish porn.
I don't know, dude.
There's always some kind of fetish porn.
I could get a job as a chef really fast if I had 5.
Oh, like one of the hibachi chefs or something.
Right.
Oh, that'd be kind of neat. I would watch that, I guess.
Right. So he explains the rules. So it's would you rather, but you have to act on that instead of like for instance,
whatever you choose, you have to do.
Right. So you know he goes to Travis and he says, Travis, for instance, I would say, would you rather kiss Iris or would you rather kiss Peter? And he says, well, I guess Iris. He goes, well, then you would have to kiss Peter or kiss Iris. You know, you have to do what you have to do. Which is kind of funny because
personally, I read Travis as not swinging that way, and just his general demeanor during that question. I read it very differently.
So they continue in rounds playing this game until everybody is eliminated. Basically, you're eliminated if you can't go forward anymore, if you're unable to go forward, or if you don't make a decision within a set amount of time, depending on the round you're in.
Yeah.
And Cal pretty much says what we're thinking. He's like, is this really necessary? Like, can't you help all of us? Like, why do we have to play this game?
Right, and it's explained that, you know, it's basically like this whole game shows how you would make decisions in real life, and, you know, it shows basically that you would be capable of using this money for the right things, I guess.
Yeah, and doesn't he say something like it basically shows who deserves it the most?
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of weird, but
because I guess to be fair, like no matter how powerful any of these foundations are, if they went around every year helping 8 people, they you know and setting them up for life, they would probably go bankrupt.
I suppose.
Well, because you've got to figure. I mean, this place has been around at least probably 5 years, let's say.
Oh, it sounds like it's like a multi-generational thing. It sounds like it's gone on for.
I'm just going based off the fact that Doc was a participator like years ago.
Right.
So I'm gonna put it at least 5. So that's 40 people, you know.
Right.
I mean, they're
Yeah, I get it.
Especially with how many of them have like medical expenses and stuff. That stuff really racks up the costs.
So the game officially begins at 34 minutes.
Yeah.
34 minutes. So that first act basically is like 34 minutes long.
Right. Which is about a third of the movie, you know?
Yeah, which is typically like screenplay structure, right? Your first third of the movie is set up, basically. He reveals at that point that Bevins is an ex-MI5 agent. And Bevins brings in an electrocution-style interrogation device, basically.
Yeah.
And to which Home Alone Dad... Can I just, like, go through this in real time? Home Alone Dad basically, like, says, you know what? I'm not doing this. Like, I get what you're doing. It's a game. Like, you want to just hurt us. Basically.
Yeah, you're just a rich guy looking to
to
get off on hurting all of us little people.
Right, and he says, you know, I'm out of here. And they're like, you can't leave. You said you can't. He's like, you go to hell. Bam!
Yeah, he drops. He's dead.
Fucking Bevins pulls out a pistol and shoots him in the head, like, out of nowhere. And it was that fast, too, which is one of the... Like, out loud, I went, oh!
Mm-hmm.
Like, very loudly. Like, I'm sure people in the house heard me. I was like... I was
Well,
very
and like
shocked.
right there, like all the sound cuts out, the music drops in super loud. You know, it's complete chaos around the place. It's a really, I felt well orchestrated scene.
It was definitely one of those things where shit got real in a very big hurry.
Yeah. It's like that's the moment where you realize, okay, yeah, we're down, we're in business now. We're going.
Right. So round one starts. You have 15 seconds to decide, and basically you and your neighbor are fitted with a cap that will electrocute you. And
Yeah,
basically
for like
it's
an indeterminate amount of electricity. It felt like it should have been 400 or so, because that's what the readout said.
Right.
But I doubt that that's right.
You don't die, but it's obviously it's extremely painful and
it's extremely painful and very dangerous.
Right. So basically, it says, would you rather shock yourself or your neighbor? And I won't like go through the entire thing. Like I wrote down what everybody did, but a couple of parts that really made me laugh. Can you guess what the first one is?
Like how quickly Sasha Grey electrocutes Linda.
Sasha Grey, Amy is sitting next to Linda, and Cal shocks himself. Like he doesn't shock Amy. Like he can't bring himself to do it. So they put Cal's cap.
To which, by the way, Amy is very happy about.
Right, she's got a little smile going. They put the cap on Linda, and before he can start the timer, he's like, "Okay, Amy. So would you rather?"
Yeah, just right off the bat, zaps the shit.
And it cracks me up because Shep just goes, "Oh!" He's like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
And the look on Sasha Grey's face, who I feel like Sasha Grey has this look on her face all the time. Like,
well, yeah, I mean that's what cued me off, is because it was like, this is every single picture of her ever.
Yeah, she just has this look. It's like, yeah, I'm hot. Fuck you.
Yeah, she's got
judging.
that look. That's exactly the look. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure maybe I don't know anything about her. I'm sure maybe she's a really nice girl, but
oh, she's a super nice girl.
Is she really?
The whole reason why I originally like found out who she was because she got busted for trying to read to kids.
Oh, okay.
And somebody had found out about that a few years back, and I guess like shut that shit down immediately.
All right. I don't.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, in the movie, like I'm not overly fond of her.
And apparently she's just a very nice person to be around.
Okay.
From what I've read.
Shout out. Then you did an excellent job, Miss Grey, acting in this film, because you were a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
So
but that's the thing, though, is that's why I was like, she nailed that character. I would have felt that she would have been the weakest link, but she got that shit, bro.
Okay, well, see, I have an even greater respect then, because sometimes it's really hard to separate an act from the actor. You know, you hear that a lot from like people who play villains, where people are like, I hate you, and it's like,
well, like take the kid who played Joffrey, yeah,
right,
like,
and
just everybody hated that kid.
Exactly, and he's like the most intelligent guy like I've ever.
Well, that seems I think I sent you that talk of his from I think it's like Princeton or someplace.
Right,
it was a big school, and it was like guy was very well spoken, very nice, you know.
Right. And the guy that played the governor in Walking Dead, like, people were like, I hate you. And he's like, everybody says he's like the greatest, funniest guy. And it's like, sometimes it's difficult. The lady who plays Cersei.
Oh, yeah.
Lena Headey has the same, you know, people are just like, and she's like really shy and sweet. And anyway, so she did an excellent job, like, just being a bitch. Not much happens in round one, except Lucas gets shocked twice.
Yeah,
Travis shocks him, and that's the other thing with Amy is they put the cap on Lucas, and he looks at Travis and he kind of nods like, "It's okay, dude." And they cut to Amy, and she just rolls her eyes.
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And actually, my mom turned to me at that point, and she goes, "Somebody cuts her head off, right?" And I was like,
but that's the thing is, you realize why later. You know, like she explains it as it is. Like, this guy you're playing the game wrong.
Yeah, maybe. Lucas gets it twice. Nothing really happens at that point, but when everybody leaves to get ready for the second round, Travis gets in with Penguin, and you find out very quickly that Penguin is a frickin' Looney Tune.
Well, before that, they actually begin plotting an escape.
Right. Yeah. Now, if we can take everybody out, if we like lunge at everybody at once, they can't do anything. I would like to say that at 43 minutes and 30 seconds, Sasha Grey has her first words.
Oh, does she?
That is the first time in the whole movie that she speaks.
I could have sworn she would have done it before, but now I think it's all been face stuff.
Yep, I looked today just to make sure. At 43 minutes and 30 seconds, she looks at Travis and she says, "That was incredibly stupid, Travis."
Here's the thing, though. She's got a good point. That was the stupidest thing you could have done.
Right. Which leads to the line from Lucas, who says basically like, look, you know, they want us to turn on each other. If we stay logical, we can turn the tables on them. And he kind of throws his hand up at Amy and he goes, "She's on her own." Which cracked me up. Round two is basically you're laid two items on the table. One is an ice pick, and you can choose to stab your neighbor in the thigh. At first I said eye, or I thought he said I.
Yeah, that would have been really bad. But
right.
No, it's the thigh.
He says the thigh with the ice pick, or you can whack Travis 3 times with an African whipping staff. I mean, nobody wants to stab their partner.
No.
So, and
well, especially because, and Lucas brings this up, that's a really bad place to stab somebody.
Yes and no. We'll get into that in a minute. So Travis initially is like, just do it. I've put up with worse things. You know, obviously he's seen some shit in Iraq, and he's like, just do it.
Yeah.
And every time you hit Travis with this thing, it like basically it splits his back open.
Yeah, it breaks skin immediately.
Right. Yeah, and he gets whacked, and like it basically goes to Travis, and like you can stab Lucas.
It goes to Lucas, yeah.
Yeah,
who would have been stabbed Peter.
Right. They go to Travis, who's already been whacked 6 times, and they say, "You want to stab Lucas or take 3 more from Bevins?"
Yeah.
And basically, he's like, "Just do it." And so Bevins like hauls off and whacks him.
Which I was about to say that would have been a no because
oh, God.
I'm sorry, Peter. I would have stabbed you because Bevin's a fucking huge guy.
Oh God.
Like that would have been bad.
Right. So so it goes to Peter, and basically they give Peter the option: you can stab Linda, or you can hit Travis 3 more times. At this point, Travis is not in good shape.
No.
He decides that since Linda's paralyzed, she can't feel it. She needs to take one for the team.
Yeah.
And he takes the ice pick and stabs her in the top of the thigh, pulls it out, and basically says, somebody had mentioned, like, be careful, you can hit an artery.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the femoral artery that runs in that area.
Right. And so he stabs her, pulls it out, and it just starts bleeding all over the place. And he's like, I think I hit that artery.
Yeah.
Here's the problem I have with this. So I called my brother, who's a paramedic, and I said, that's not where the femoral artery is. And he's
it's not, no.
He's like, no, it's on the inside of your leg.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so if somebody were to...
Which is why I was thinking, you know, if you want to stab somebody in the thigh, do it on the right side.
Well, but the top is not bad either. I'm
yeah,
like,
that's true. Well, here's my problem is from the top, it feels like if you went deep enough, you're likely to lance the bone, which I think would be more painful.
Yeah, but if you're, you know... But my point was, I was like, if somebody was to stab me like that, would they hit an artery? And he's like, not unless it went to the side and down. And I'm like, so would I bleed out? And he's like, no. He's like, if you hit a vein or something even, it would probably clot before that. So,
yeah.
a little, like, I don't know.
They're bending stuff a little just to...
A little bit. But anyway, so
But it also adds more danger to it, because it's like, okay, well, are you really sure that you want to stab somebody? Or are you just going to let Travis get it more?
Right. So she's bleeding out, and Peter's trying to, like, get a fake tourniquet with a belt on it, and he doesn't even know where to put it, and everybody's
That's the thing.
out.
That's what really bugged me, because he's like, do we put it above or below? And it's like, my God, are you fucking stupid?
Right.
Because that is honestly the most obvious thing in the world to me, but that's also because I've read a lot of this shit.
Not everybody, like, has an aversion to stabbing people.
Oh, no, not at all. Talking about Amy, man. Amy, she winds up with the option to stab anybody at the table.
Right. She plays a very nice game of Duck, Duck, Goose. And chooses...
Right, which I think I had a joke for before, but I, for life me, can't remember, and I didn't write it down.
She chooses Iris. She has this thing with Iris. Like, she just glares at her. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if it's because she's, like...
she's competition.
I guess so. And she's
like, lady competition. She wants that cow dick.
She has, like, this, like, another one of the greatest lines where she says, can I stab her anywhere?
Yeah.
To
but
which...
See, I like that. Like, that just adds more to the character, personally.
And Shepard kind of goes, well, this is new. He's like, just below the shoulders. And, of course, Iris is like, please don't and gets stabbed in the side, it looks like, and she misses her lung.
She misses every fucking artery and every fucking organ there. And that's my thing, is it was like, okay, you can stab her anywhere, and you choose not to stab her in the heart, It's like if I was trying to eliminate players, that's where I would go immediately.
Right, exactly. And she, like, sits down, plops the thing down, and she basically lays out what she thinks.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game.
This is a game, and your goal should be to eliminate the other players.
Right. We shouldn't be working together. We should be trying to win.
Yeah.
And my first question of the night to you is, I find the character to be... I don't have any remorse for this character. I think she's a bitch. I don't care either way. But is she right?
Personally, yeah, she was pretty right, because here's my thing, and it kind of bugged me by my second viewing when I realized it, but, like, as soon as they closed those doors, everybody gave up on the prize money. And it was like, oh no, we better escape. But it's like, guys, I mean, this is the best chance you're gonna get at being set for life. Because you think about it, okay, so Iris escapes, right?
Right.
She goes back home, she still has all those bills, she still is gonna, have sold her house and probably be homeless. I mean, she might have a motel, but for how long is that going to last?
Right.
You know, a couple of other characters that you find out a little bit about their backstory. You know, it's like they go back home and now none other things are solved.
Right. And they're
You know.
emotionally scarred and they have nothing.
Yeah.
While this is all happening, Doc...
Oh, and they probably have the Foundation tracking them down now.
Right. The elite
So, you
hunting.
know.
They're going to end up in Slovakia.
Exactly.
So Doc feels really bad about what's happening now.
Yeah, and Doc starts gearing up.
Right. He doesn't... He
I don't
he has a
know
change
what
of heart.
like set him off to go like do this personally.
It's something
it
about
seems like it
Iris.
was yeah.
You know, he decides very much that Iris shouldn't be there. So he goes and gets a pistol, gets in his car, and in the second nod to Birdemic, we get to watch him pull out of his driveway and start driving off.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, drive up,
He
and
backs-
don't they like spend a lot of time lingering on his car whenever it comes out or goes back into a place? And it feels like
Yeah.
they're tracking it almost real time.
Right. Exactly. So by the time they get to this point at the end of round 2, Doc sneaks into the house through a grate into the basement.
Right.
Um,
Oh, we should also mention that by this point, Linda's dead.
Right, that was my next bit, is we find out that Linda's dead. She's bled out in a matter of a couple of minutes. Again, not...
Very, very inconsistent, or
Yeah.
very incorrect, but we'll roll with it. And Travis is also dead. Well, not dead, but he's incapacitated.
He basically falls over unconscious, and Bevins...
I'm not sure what they do with him then, because all they do is drag him off.
That was my next point.
Because it's like, okay, so do you kill him? Do you keep him around for something?
Right.
I don't...
He like leans into Shep and he says, "Look, he's not in good shape. He could hang on for a few hours. He could hang on for a few days, but he can't go on anymore."
Yeah.
So Shepard says, "All right, well, he's incapacitated. He's eliminated," and they cart him off. What happens to him? I
mean, I wonder if they would kill him. Well, here's the thing, and I was going to bring this up later, but they're making a sequel.
Are you kidding me?
Not at all. They started filming this spring.
Oh my god! So there we go. Maybe he comes back. I don't know.
I mean, that'd be interesting. You get like, okay, so remember, spoilers for Hostel, but you remember the scene after it's when what's his face is like in the cart and he like collects his fingers, that whole bit.
Right.
That'd be great if that's how we open up the next film, is with him like down in the boiler room, and he wakes up and now he's got to find his way out of the mansion.
And he's a war hero, so he has seen some shit. So
yeah.
He,
oh god, I want to see this now.
I agree. So that's the end of round 2. We lose Iris, or we lose Linda. We lose Travis.
We lose Travis. So we're down from the original 8 down to 5 contestants.
It's the big break. Run.
Yeah.
That's what I put in my notes. The big break. Run. Iris stabs a bodyguard and takes off.
Yeah.
What else happens?
Cal winds up getting shot.
Cal gets shot in the chest because he goes after Shep with that cane. And he gets about 4 steps towards him. He pulls out a gun and like pop right in the chest.
Yeah, and just drops him, which I could believe. That gun has some stopping power.
Yeah, and I think Lucas and
and
Amy?
No, Amy stayed off in the back.
She just stays seated or something, right?
She stands up, but she stays in the back area of the room, like out of the way from everything.
Right.
Lucas and Peter both get incapacitated back down, or get knocked back down. They everybody gets rounded up again.
Right.
You find out that Iris has escaped. Thanks to, Julian's the one who tells them, which, so Julian runs off. His dad's apparently fine with him running off to go track her down.
Well, he's like, can I go help, because he says, Bevins, go get her.
Yeah.
And he's like, can I help? And he's like, fine. So he takes off. And here's like the other big problem I had. She's like hiding behind one of those doors that has like the glass pane in it that you can't see through, like frosted or whatever.
Yeah.
He walks by and she like sneaks away and he like stops and looks at the door. And
that's the thing, is the whole time go ahead.
He opens the door and like looks down a stairwell, which she's not there. And he like looks down, closes the door and walks off. He's a fucking former MI5 agent and he can't be bothered with checking the stairwell.
So here's the thing, and this is what I was thinking all during my second viewing, is he looks very much like he's resuming his secret agent stuff. So this whole time, as I'm watching this, I got this repeating in my head: secret agent, bum bum, Super Bevins, bum bow.
Shout out to Mystery Science Theater 3000 and the Super Agent Secret Dragon, or Secret Agent Super Dragon episode. Check it out if you haven't.
Also, from this point on in my notes, I've been referring to Doc as I think it's listed as Doc Ninja.
Duck.
Or Dr. Ninja. Yeah, that's the one, which is a reference to a webcomic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So she finds the basement we saw Doc coming into, and she starts to get out, but Penguin finds her and, like, starts trying to rape her.
Yeah. Go figure, right?
Yeah. To which she stabs him in the kneecap, basically, with, she must have had, did she have the ice pick?
I think she's got the ice pick.
Okay. She stabs him and gets up, and there's Doc.
Yeah, and Doc's like, hey, come with me.
Right, and he's like, look, I should have told you. Boom!
Yeah, and just he gets knocked the fuck out. It was so great. Like, the blood spatter, and it's just like, it's such a sudden scene. It is really, really well shot, in my opinion.
Here's one thing that I thought the movie did well, is that sudden, like, jump.
Well, that's the thing is, like, whenever one of these sort of things happens, it's like, it is out of nowhere. It's like, when Conway gets shot, it's just like, it was so fast, where it's just like, whip, boom, he's down. And then, just the aftermath of that.
As, like, it's the exact opposite of the opening dialogue, where it's very purposeful. This is like, hey, just say your dialogue, and we're going to cut you off at some point. Because they're, like, right mid-sentence and something happens, and it makes you jump, so...
Well, the thing is, it almost feels like there wasn't even, like, an interruption point in that script. Like, he probably had... It feels like he had the whole thing.
Yeah, he probably had it, like,
and
a half page of
nowhere,
dialogue.
It's just, like, thing triggers, and it's, like, drop.
Right. So Bevan shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And helps Iris get back to the table and sits her down. Amy basically says, why does she get to play?
Yeah.
And,
which is a really good point, though, because, she tried to escape, and I get the whole, almost raped thing, but she also broke the rules.
Right.
Anybody else would have probably been shot, but Shep shows very preferential treatment towards her.
Right. And Shep basically turns to her and says, I make the decisions here. Keep your petulant mouth shut. She will
which
play.
I feel like was just such a great line.
And she kind of just sits there. I had to look this up, by the way, so shout out to you thespians who know. But petulant is an adjective of a person or their manner. Childishly sulky or bad-tempered, which is her.
Know that?
I didn't know that. I looked it up. And in my notes, I write down, like, does he want Iris to win?
I actually felt like he wanted to from the very beginning. Like, everything seems very geared towards Iris maybe winning. Like,
exactly.
I feel like that's where he's put all his money to.
Right. So we come upon round 4, the quote-unquote final round. There's 4 people left.
Oh, can I just say that?
Absolutely.
Before this, Shep goes to go talk to Julian, and I was thinking that whole time, like, during that whole scene, what the fuck could he be talking to him about?
I think he was just checking on him, because he does, like...
I feel like that could have been it, because he came back pretty quick, and it could have just been you're alive, that's cool. We're gonna talk about this later, because that's not cool, kid.
Right, because he does say, where's Julian? And you can like, I had the closed captioning on, which I typically don't watch. I watch the movies that we do for this in closed captioning. I don't usually watch them with that. But you can hear
him... Which is a good thing, because remember, Zombear comes out as Zombiever Bear.
Right.
You catch a lot, like, okay, so her brother's name was Riley.
Right.
Except it was spelled the way that I would pronounce relay.
Or Raleigh.
Or, wherever the elder gods sleep. If I was trying to spell how I pronounce that, where it was like Raleigh, which I've never seen Riley spelled that way.
Right. It's actually spelled like Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah. Which anyway, I didn't even know that was a place until just the other day.
Wow, kid.
Which apparently that's like the capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know my state capitals. I was never tested on that shit. I wasn't really tested on my states either. Because I'm embarrassed to admit, but I was looking to make sure that New Jersey was a state.
Oh my god. I remember, this is totally off topic, but I remember getting in a fight once with my friend because I insisted that New England was a state.
Oh, well, that's clear.
And he was like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. New England is a state. And he's like, no, it's not. New England is like a region. We were playing like Madden football or something. I was like 18. Yeah. Anyway, so Bevins leans in and says, like, he tried to rape her in the basement and he got stabbed in the knee. And he says, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, he has like a panicked look on his face. That's why I was just like, this guy, he nailed this role.
Right. I love Jeffrey Combs. He is like, he's amazing in just about everything he ever does. So he comes back in and he tells her, like, I'm so sorry this happened to you in the basement. Like, ever since his mom died, he's had very little restraint. He's a little out there. I'm very sorry for this. Which I was kind of like...
It seemed very detached.
Well, but it seemed a little out of place because everything that was going on. But I also kind of felt like it was his character. Yeah. Like, he still has this kind of regality about him. Yeah. You know, he's the head of the family, and, like, even though you tried to escape and you did all this stuff, like, this was very inappropriate. And We have very specific
Well, that's the thing is,
rules
it
on
feels
how
like
people
it's like
should be
you're
treated.
still a guest in our household, you know?
Right. Yeah, you're like we have rules. Like we're not supposed to be, doing this. We're breaking our own rules. I'm sorry. And I was like, well, okay. So now a giant barrel of water is brought in. There's 4 people left, 2 on each side of the table. And Bevins drops an envelope in front of each person. And the rule now is that this round is you can either spend 2 minutes with your head held underwater, or you can open the envelope in front of you and do whatever punishment is listed. And some things are dire and some things really aren't dire. Fuck off. Every single one of these things are
I would not want
incredibly
any
horrible.
of them.
Yeah, they're horrible. So so you can either choose to have Bevins hold your head underwater or do the envelope. I guess like there's only 4 things, so we can go quickly through these, right?
Yeah.
So Peter chooses his card because he can't hold his water that long. And there's a firecracker picture. It's just an icon. And he's like, you have to hold a firecracker in your hand while it goes off. And he's like, cool. So he comes out and he's like, it's a quarter stick of dynamite. And he's like, it's like an M100 and M1000 or whatever.
Yeah.
A cherry bomb, whatever you want to call it. And he's like, so Bevins takes duct tape and tapes his hand around them.
Because, what's his name? Lucas says, oh yeah, you just release it just before it goes off.
Right.
Which doesn't seem like it'd be as good of a deal anyways, because it's like, well, now you stop containing that explosion.
Right.
And it's right in front of you.
Yeah, so Shep says, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Mr. Bevins, secure his hand if you need to.
Yes. That was an excellent rendition.
Yeah.
So here's the only note that I have is don't fucking stare at it.
No.
He holds his arm out with it, and I love how like Amy, Sasha Grey, like starts like scooting away.
Yeah.
When he's standing there. Like,
well, the thing is, like, Shep makes a noise like this might be messy. You might want to step away from the table.
So he holds his hand out and stares at his hand, and I'm like, this thing is gonna explode in front of your face. Like, close your eyes.
Yeah.
It explodes, like mangles his hand all up, but it's not this that kills him. He like flops over and dies, and I'm like,
well, it's like he has a heart attack because of it.
He has a heart attack and dies, and I'm like, okay, this was the lamest death in the whole movie.
See, you say that, but I do feel like that might have just been like a subset of him like going into shock because of it.
Maybe.
And then ran into it, where I felt like it was actually somewhat appropriate. I felt like it might have been something that you or I would have actually done.
I don't know that I'd have a heart attack.
Have you?
I would
your blood pressure, you would have had a heart attack.
I absolutely would go into shock. Make no mistake. I mean, I would absolutely go unconscious.
You would have to go to the same place as Travis.
Probably. So he has a heart attack and dies, which I'm just kind of going, considering everything that's gone on, to me that was kind of a letdown.
Right.
So they cart him off. Lucas, what does he choose?
Lucas chooses to open his envelope.
Yes.
And he has to slice his eye with a razor blade. To which Shepard makes note that it can be any of his eyes. I was a little curious about that. I'm like, okay, so I would personally, whenever I was writing that, say either eye.
Yeah. Any
eye. I was thinking, okay, so you got your left eye, you got your right eye. What other eyes do you have?
I don't know, but I never noticed that, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I immediately, of course, I've talked about this actually when you were here last, but I immediately started hearkening back to Un Chien Andalou. I know that I'm not pronouncing this right, but it's a French silent film from Louis Buñuel, I think, and Salvador Dali.
Louis Buñuel.
What's that?
I said Louis Buñuel.
Okay. Anyway, they actually show, like, he holds a woman's eye open, and then they cut to, like, a calf eye or something, and they cut the eyeball open, and it all, like, gushes out.
Yeah. It's a very, like, interesting sort of thing, especially with how close they punch the camera in and everything.
Right. It was, like, one of the most disturbing parts of, like, film school I ever had. Like, that bothered me for, like, days. But that's nothing like this, is it?
No, not really. Like, here's the thing is, like, this felt very quick. You know,
yes.
it came down to, like, seconds left on his timer where it's like, okay, you have to do this now or else we're shooting you in the head. And, you know, he's just finally like, fucking, and, you know, slices his eye open. It was just, like, a very quick thing. He let a little bit of a yell, but beyond that, it was like...
Well, and the thing is they cut away from it.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is I noticed with all this stuff, though, they cut away. Like, when the firecracker goes off,
right?
It's off screen. All your reaction is sent off from the flash of light, and then the character's reaction, which, by the way, his eyes during that scene, fucking hilarious. I can't remember if they actually showed... Well, no, they showed the knife going in.
Did they?
On the one. Yeah, I think they did with Linda. They showed the knife going in.
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't. They didn't show it. You hear it. They after you hear it go in, they show
well,
a
that's
shot
the
of
thing
it
is
in her
when you
leg.
hear it though, it's not like a very loud thing. Like here's my problem is I've been watching a lot of like really bad CW shows and they're horrible about sound effects in that.
Right.
So anytime there's a knife thing, it's like a very like wet slice.
Right.
But something about the fact that there was none of that with that made it like all the worse.
Right. Yeah, it was a very like subdued like thunk when he sticks it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he doesn't want to do it, and he only has like seconds left, so they count off with like a gun to his head, like 3, 2, 1, and he's like ah, and then they like quickly like pan like
yeah, they pan left to Iris
like super fast, and she like reacts and he screams, and it shows him, and he just like is holding his eye. I mean, he's screaming, but
But here's the thing: is you still feel that it was a very painful thing. You still feel for the character.
Sure.
I mean, it's not as bad as if you had like an up close thing, like in what you'd mentioned, but it also would have felt really out of place considering the rest of the movie.
Well, this definitely doesn't have and this is why I said it's more thriller-esque,
right?
Than anything, because like in Hostel, he cuts her eyeball out.
Well, because it's very it's more of a gore horror than anything else in that case. It's not so much like a horror film like you would think of with I don't know. Let's say Friday the 13th, where it builds an atmosphere and plays off of that, and it's not so much about the close up limb chopping.
Right.
The Hostel doesn't have that slow build up atmosphere thing, but it's a very tense you anticipate it, and you're waiting for that moment, and that's what draws the horror in for it.
Right. It's the it's the clenching of your butt cheeks and you looking away, basically. That's the difference. So he slices his eye, so he wins.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Iris, and Iris actually takes the barrel.
Yeah.
And, that's where, you get another hint that he really likes this girl. I'm talking about Shep. Because he says, oh, yeah, like, you're not going to take a chance. You're going to go with the sure thing. Like, that's you. You're going to, and it feels like he's, like, studied her. Like, maybe a little bit more. So she takes a breath, and Bevins takes her head, slams it into the water, and holds it down there. And I think she starts to lose consciousness.
Yeah, because she starts having flashbacks.
Yeah, she starts thinking about... She, like, has this...
Flashback to, like, another car conversation with Riley where he's recounting a dream about everybody being on a boat.
Right.
And it capsizing, I think, is basically what it was.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder, then, maybe that could have been a reference to what actually happened with the parents? Like, it could have been I don't know, like a boating accident or something.
Maybe. I never even thought about that.
I was thinking about that when we brought it up earlier where they didn't talk about it. And I don't know, possible. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. It
was clearly like some sort of accident, especially if it killed both parents.
Right. He says that he's in the water and can't get up to the surface, and she's trapped. Everybody else, including her, is trapped.
That feels very much like a flashback type dream than like a hypothetical one.
Right. Yeah, I am kind of curious on whether or not that's the case or not, but it doesn't really say. But she almost loses consciousness and comes back up, and she makes it.
Right.
And I'd like to say that it wasn't actually 2 minutes. It was only 1 minute and 19 seconds of screen time.
Oh, see, I don't feel so bad now.
Why?
Well, because here's the thing: is as soon as they said that, and as soon as she took it, I was like, I wonder how long I can hold my breath. So
yeah.
Of course,
did you do it?
I did. I timed it. I only made it like 1:16 my first time, and then on my second time viewing, I only made it a minute.
Did you really?
Uh-huh. My lung capacity has gone even further down.
I lasted 49 seconds.
Here's my thing is, though, I feel like in that situation, I might be able to hold my breath longer. Because it's one thing when you're not in the water,
right?
And like just sort of subconsciously that, oh yeah, this isn't a life or death thing. I could breathe in at any moment. It almost feels like your body's still just consuming stuff faster. But while you're in the water, I know for a fact I can hold my breath so much longer down there, because I know that I can't breathe in at any moment.
Here's the other thing too, though, about this is I'm not jacked up on adrenaline.
Yeah,
I'm not already like so close to
so
death, and I think that would actually make it harder.
Yeah, I was wondering if adrenaline would then carry the oxygen throughout the bloodstream faster.
Yeah, your heart rate is going to be so much faster, which is going to cause you to, one of the things when you hold your breath and go underwater and stuff is you got to slow your heartbeat down so that you're not your oxygen so fast. I would think it would be really hard to do, but she does it.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked to have seen it actually go the full 2 minutes, and normally like I wouldn't like a pacing thing like that.
But for a film like this, it feels like that real time thing. I wasn't sure on the clock timer, but I felt like the clock timer sometimes actually ran where it was supposed to. I mean, they took liberties at some points.
Right.
Where it was like this clearly lasted longer than 30 seconds or whatever.
I definitely think that it would have been more torturous.
Yeah.
if it would have went the full 2 minutes. You know, I just feel like, you know, I mean, I was like kind of like, I have an intense fear of drowning, so I don't like swim a whole lot or anything, you know?
Yeah.
It just like almost sends me in a panic attack to think about it. So me watching it, you know, I was just kind of like, oh my God, you know?
Well, then that
I
makes
was
me wonder,
definitely-
especially with this timing thing. So our next character, Amy,
Sure.
you know, she's got the
the
option
last
still.
one.
You know, you gonna go for the 2 minutes, or you gonna open your card, and she winds up opening her card. Which, before I go and say that, we should say Iris's card. Lucas wants to know what's inside, so they open that up, and it would have been every tooth extracted.
Right. Yeah.
Which, here's my thing: is I wonder if he was able to change the punishments based off that, because it doesn't seem like any of those things were a set deal, right? Whereas, like, I could look at the firecracker one and interpret that as any manner of firecracker.
I
the tooth one,
that.
I could believe as being just a single tooth extracted.
I believe that to a certain point.
The only one that I wouldn't see is the eye one and the barrel, honestly, because
Right.
Amy opens up her card and
Now-
it's a barrel with a 4 on it, which means clearly, and I don't know why they even had to ask, 4 minutes
of
instead of
water.
2.
Right. Now, this is a problem for Amy, and why is it a problem for Amy? You kind of learn why Amy is the way she is.
This felt actually like it came out of nowhere,
Right.
like he was weirdly taunting Amy, and I'm not sure
Oh, I absolutely
what
think
that
he was.
came from. I wonder if maybe it's just not because of her questioning him earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas, like, he tries to put on the professional air, but, like, the players still get to him sometimes. So, you know,
but he dicks with people.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, earlier on when
So, you know, it feels very much like this is just a big experiment for them to see, like, how people react in these situations.
I absolutely think so. And he makes a comment about when because Linda stabs, we never said this, but Linda stabs Amy when she has the ice pick challenge. Because Amy had zapped her earlier. She just, like, flips around and stabs her.
Yeah.
Like, without really thinking about it.
And, you know, it doesn't pierce the artery because she comes in on the right side, or on the outside of her leg.
Right. And you don't know, like, she went that deep anyway, because as
Yeah,
she
'cause, I mean,
goes
she
and
says
does
that
it, like,
she scratched her.
she gets, like, clocked in the nose. Like, Amy,
Yeah.
like, elbows her in the nose. But he, like, comes up and he says, well, she didn't have a choice, did she? Because she couldn't whip Travis because she can't walk. And it's like, wow,
Oh, no,
dude.
she doesn't say that.
No.
Probably. Oh, I
Yeah,
see
no,
what you're
that's
saying.
right.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought
That's-
you were saying that Amy had been saying it. I'm like, Amy didn't say that. That's very out of character for Amy.
No, that was Shep.
That was-
no,
yeah, that was
my
Shep.
point is, like, Shep dicks with people as time goes around.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is another thing where he's like, you know, you've been, like, you know, to use his word, petulant. You know, you've had this leering eye at everybody, and you know what? You're just as damaged as everybody else is.
Yeah.
And, you know, he basically, you know, he kind of taunts her and says, how long can you hold your breath? How long do you think it took for your husband to drown your daughter?
Yeah.
And everybody kind of looks at her. And in a
Which,
normal
here's my thing, is
situation...
it makes me wonder if these cards weren't deliberately chosen.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is I felt like in this instance it definitely was. Because either way you went with it, she was going in the water.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say is I don't know, like, I didn't care for the character a whole lot, so I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah,
You know, in
I
a
can
normal
see that.
situation, I would be like, "Oh my god!"
Well, that's my thing,
how
is
you
because
are.
it was
But
very
it's like,
sudden. It was a very sudden attempt at character development.
right, and I know its place was probably to say, "Look, she's a bitch. She's like this, but look at what she's been through." You know, she
Yeah,
lost
it's
a
like
child.
it goes to help
But-
explain sort of why.
By the same token, I'm kind of like, no, she's like really like, she's really been a bitch to everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't care. So here's the really shitty thing I thought too, is they get her up because she kind of goes, well, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. And she gets up and gets in front of the barrel, and as she opens her mouth to take a breath, Bevins goes, kunk.
And just like slams her in there. Like there's a very audible thunk as she
Right.
makes her contact with the water.
Right. And, you know, and of course, you know, Iris says, hey, she wasn't ready. And they're like, hey, no, too bad. And she unfortunately expires.
You know, here's the thing: is as an avid consumer of Sasha Grey stuff, she could totally do the 4 minutes. I just think that I'm like, oh god, yes.
You can't, yeah, but you know.
Again, it falls into the breathing outside of water and breathing inside water thing, I guess.
Oh my god. So this leads to the face-off, because Sasha's eliminated, she gets pulled up, and Lucas and Iris sit across from each other. I honestly think, like, this was my favorite bit of the movie, I think. He says, you know, well, this is obviously probably going to end in the first round, because the person who goes first has an obvious advantage.
Yeah.
And he says, we're going to do a coin toss. and they do the coin toss, and it goes in Iris's favor. Interesting. I feel like he wouldn't leave that up to chance because he really wanted her to win, but she won.
See, that's why I was wondering the whole time, as if maybe there was some way that they could have.
It's possible.
Fixed that, but thinking about it, it would have been really, really difficult.
It's possible.
To do, especially with them having shown the coin at first. So maybe
he's an MI agent, MI5
I was about to say,
agent,
so maybe some sort of sleight of hand type thing, where he like swapped it out pretty quick, or
absolutely.
Maybe he knows a way to flip it that like statistically changes it.
That's.
But
what
now
I
think we're reading way too far into this.
Maybe. So he basically puts.
We're just seconds away from like going frame by frame to screenshot this to find the moment that he swapped the coin out.
I'm gonna look at it later. So our final would you rather? Would you rather A, end the game, walk out the door, and they unlock the door and open it up, and she says, you and Lucas can walk out empty-handed, but you're free to go. No, whatever, no harm, no foul, or whatever. But in Travis's case, his eye is all swollen shut, but whatever. Or Lucas's case. So you can end the game and walk out, or B, and they pull out this little case, and he says, you can take this dueling pistol with 1 round loaded in it, and you can shoot Lucas, and you win everything.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it's like, that really is like the ultimate position to put somebody in, right?
Yeah.
And
because it's like everybody else has died now.
Right.
You can leave, but everybody's suffering will have been for naught.
Right. But it really does come down. Earlier he says, like, we're getting down to the very basic reality of decision making in a person's soul. And he puts her in this position where it's like, they both can leave and be okay.
Well, here's my other thing,
or she can get everything she wants just by pulling a trigger. It was
such an interesting choice to have it happen like that, because it's like, a gun it's quick. It's like, it is a 1 second decision where it's like, you can decide, okay, I'm gonna, we shoot this person and it can end right there. It's like, if she had to kill him with the whipping staff, it probably would have changed the decision, but it's like, okay, I can either leave empty-handed or in 1 second end all of this and be set for life.
Right. Lucas looks at her and says, we can leave. We can go home. And she kind of looks at him, and he kind of gets it a little bit, and he goes, look, I know you're here for your brother and you do everything, I want to tell you why I'm here, and I know you're here for somebody else, and I'm here for somebody else. I have 3 sisters. Boom!
Yeah, just like immediately.
Just like that.
I think the worst thing that he could have done is reminding her of her brother, honestly.
Yeah, right. I think so too, because he mid-sentence, she pulls the trigger, and he's dead. And everybody starts clapping and cheering, and she's...
It was interesting when she chose to, because it was also like the moment that he starts exposing stuff about himself. So it's like, if she waited, I think would have weighed even further on her consciousness than,
exactly.
It already is going to.
Everybody's clapping and cheering, and she's covering her ears because she's just killed somebody. And she wins. They're like, you win, you're done.
Yeah.
Now, before we go further, my second question to you of the night is, if the role was reversed, if that would have come up tails, and Lucas would have gotten that choice, what do you think Lucas would have picked?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Would Lucas have said, like, let's go?
Here's the difference, is Lucas does have that, he knows why she's there type thing.
Right.
And throughout this whole game, Lucas has been playing for others. Which makes me think that maybe he would have walked out, because it's like, he's been very focused on the group and everybody making out this whole time. Even with having that gun, I feel like he might have walked out.
I kind of agree with you. He definitely is like, I don't want somebody's death on my conscience.
Yeah. Well, because, even towards the very end, he's still worrying about, about Iris.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm curious on that too. I think maybe he wouldn't have done it. So then we have another time playing, time bouncing bit where they give her like this giant rucksack of money.
Yeah.
Like the biggest rucksack of money I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he basically says, here's your winnings.
We've already found a donor, you're going to, we're going to get your brother into surgery by the end of the week.
Right. He's like, this will take care of all your parents' debts. This will take care of school. This will take care of everything. We got a donor in Romania. We already found him, like, before the game, basically.
Yeah, which made me wonder how much setup there is to the game anyways, because it's like he says, at the beginning, RSVP by 8, know, which, yeah, that's still half a day, but, it's like...
I think they're busy on the phones all day.
Yeah.
So she gets the money, they're like, there you go, and she rides home, gets home, and I'm curious to know if you had guessed this ending or not.
Here's the thing is, as she pulled up, I'd actually been thinking, I'm going to spoil the ending, I'm sorry, folks.
I was going to anyway.
Wouldn't it be funny if her brother is dead? Like, as soon as she pulled up, I was like, that would be a really funny sort of thing. That'd be kind of ironic, wouldn't it? Like, she's gone through all this stuff, and, her brother's dead for whatever reason. I completely had expected Bevan to have killed him at some point in the night or something,
The thought had crossed my mind, but not really. She gets home, she goes down the hall, she peeks in his bedroom, and he's sleeping. And at that point, it hit me. I'm like, I think he's dead.
Yeah.
And she goes and takes a shower and gets all cleaned up and whatnot. And then she comes back out, goes in his room, sits down, like, rolls him over, and he's dead. All of his empty pill bottles laying around him, so he offed himself overnight.
Yeah, which, by the way, I've been reading the other day, and that's apparently one of the worst ways to go is through any sort of, like, overdose on medication.
Really?
Especially, like, stuff like Tylenol, because it kills it's a slow, like, organ death in which they can't really do anything for you.
Oh, that's
it's
horrible.
Ask your brother about it sometime.
I think I won't.
You should. You totally should.
I honestly thought he was just going to die overnight.
Right.
Because she makes a big deal out of it.
I get that. Yeah, I hadn't expected it to be an overdose. It makes sense looking back at some of the dialogue before then, especially the how he is a burden sometimes, and there was those lines of dialogue which definitely put out like a sort of thing where I could see where he would maybe start thinking, maybe it would be better.
Yeah, there's 3 instances. There's one where he says like, "Don't you hate this life?" And she's like, "You're my brother. You're my life."
Yeah.
And there's another instance in the car where she says, Marrow doesn't match, that he says, "You can't be the hero, you need to let go." And she goes, "You mean let go of you?" Like, no.
Yeah.
And then when he's playing the PSP and she says, "I'm going out tonight," he kind of looks at her and he says, "I could use the quiet."
Yeah.
And, looking back, it makes sense, but the overdose thing, I actually thought, like, the whole thing would be, like, she finally, like, leaves him alone and goes and does this thing and ironically, like, dies, or whatever.
Yeah, like, just passes into the night.
So he dies, she starts screaming, "What have you done?" And it goes fade to black.
And roll credits. I was fully expecting like a credit sequence or something after that. Like, like a Marvel style.
Right. Like, so I did like fast forward to the end of it.
I did that today too. I fast forwarded looking to see if they had any sort of post credit clip.
A couple of one big fun fact is we've already made fun of the fact that they misspelled whatever it was at the beginning. Periscope. Yeah. They actually screw up the character credits as well.
Do they really?
The character Travis is listed twice. Once played by Enver Gogakic, or whatever his name is, who actually plays him, and the other one played by Charlie Hoffheimer.
I wonder
the first played Lucas.
Something.
The first played Lucas, so they screwed up and miscredited him as Travis.
So you know what that means is double credits in IMDb.
Something,
you can't deny it. He was in it. The credits say it.
Right. It's just I don't know. I hope they like got their money back from the company that did the credit sequences, because
I really hope so. Maybe it was Periscope. Look,
maybe.
that was your first
couple
mistake.
Other quick things. I think you already pointed out the Lambrick Foundation was the presenting production company at the beginning. And there's also a thing that was listed on IMDb's Fun Facts.
Oh, you talking the Bevan?
Yeah.
The Bevster?
When Iris takes off, you can see Blevins' silhouette, and it appears to be an homage.
Yeah.
Homage.
You mispronounced that so many times.
I do. Homage to Alfred Hitchcock.
Which I definitely got my second time through.
Did you? I didn't read this till afterwards, so I really hadn't seen it yet. And a couple of times, I guess the buttons get mixed up during.
Which okay. So here's the thing: is it's funny that you bring up then the Hitchcock thing, because I thought about this earlier during the scene when we were talking before. But in a roundabout way, like a 6-degree separation thing, that's also related to Birdemic then. Because, I mean, the director of Birdemic has a whole thing about Hitchcock,
He's
the birds, Vertigo, etc.
Yep.
So, you got his obsession with Hitchcock, you got this reference to Hitchcock. I mean, it's all connected, man.
There we go, number 3. So my last question of the night for you, and then we can kind of wrap it up and give our last impressions. Is there anything in this, in any of the Would You Rathers, is there anything in there that you would have taken the bullet instead? Because basically the layout was if you didn't do something or you didn't choose in time, they would shoot you in the head.
Not really, honestly. I mean, maybe the barrel of water would have been difficult, but I could have probably pulled it off, in the moment I could have. Because I definitely wouldn't have opened the punishment card. I was thinking about that earlier because we're gonna do this in a sec, but I was gonna run through all the Would You Rathers. Sure. And I was thinking, I'm like, I would not be able to put my faith in that sort of unknown thing, because it's like, especially if I was third person down the line and seeing everybody else have opened those, it wouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's the known and the unknown, right? You know what's going to happen there. You don't know what's going to happen in there. So.
Well, it's like, especially stuff like having all your teeth extracted, that would have been, first of all, a painful, long process.
Right.
I don't think I would have been able to make it through that. Like, in that case, I maybe, if I did open my punishment card and that was in the card, Yeah, just shoot me. Go ahead, get it over with.
I think the eye slashing thing would have been really hard for me.
Here's the thing: is well, here's the thing: is they never said how deep you have to go with it, because
Right.
from what I've read before, it's possible to do that without causing permanent damage. It's hard, but I could have maybe gone for the choice or for the chance.
Right.
Also, I mean,
I'm very sensitive about my eyes, like my neck and my eyes. Like I can't go to a chiropractor because I'm scared that he's gonna twist my neck too hard.
right.
And I can't stand people messing with my eyes. Like I just,
Oh man, then it's official. Our movie next week is Atlantis.
oh my god, what?
Yes, the Disney film. No, it's not.
Oh my god, I got a little panicky. You should see my face right there.
I mean, have you watched that movie? That movie is great. You have no clue, man.
Yeah, no. So what else you got? That's good for me on the movie. What do you got?
Well, let's see. I want to run through the Would You Rathers with you real quick. And
Absolutely.
I got a couple bonus ones since they didn't give us an end credit sequence to talk about.
Sure.
So let's open up. Okay, so we've got the I wanted to do the pregame real quick because I had a good one for you just knowing you.
Okay.
So would you have eaten, let's say, a whole tuna for $10K?
You know I hate seafood, don't you?
That's why I know how much you hate seafood.
Oh,
so I
God.
mean, you've got a whole tuna. We're gonna put it at like, I don't know what the average size of a tuna is.
Is it? It couldn't have been it. Like tunas are giant. Like it would have to be.
Yeah,
like
let's not go with the tuna. Let's go a whole salmon.
like raw or is it cooked?
Your choice. We'll
Well,
go with that.
I would say it would be cooked because that was part of the
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't
she
be like a
wasn't-
sushi
right.
thing.
I'd do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd do it.
See, my
I could
well,
choke it down. I mean, I have water and wine here. Like I'm gonna wash it down like big time. But yeah, I'd do it. Sure.
I was thinking about what would be the equivalent for me. I could not do it to wasabi for $10K.
You could or couldn't.
I could not do it.
You would be eliminated.
Yeah, I would. That would be when you shot me. Just do it now.
Right.
I open up my punishment card and it's got a two wasabi in there. I'm like, nope, I'm out.
For anybody,
Do it. Just end this.
For anybody, we also do a gaming channel on Twitch TV. Once in a while, we stream some games, and for reaching a certain number of followers, Fred did a YouTube video where he ate an entire tube of wasabi sauce, and he was in some rough shape afterwards.
I was like, oh my god. As soon as I thought I was done puking, it came out the other end. I'm like, this is the worst moment of my life.
That is awesome.
And then come to find out there's like really bad food poisoning stuff you can get from wasabi, eating too much horseradish, and that's
Nice.
Wish I'd researched that beforehand. I researched it as I felt like I was dying. I'm like, oh my god, do I need to go to the ER?
I'm glad that you waited till now to tell me about that.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
right.
so next.
Okay, so would you electrocute? We're gonna put ourselves in this situation. Would you
Okay.
electrocute me or yourself?
If I was the second person to do it, I would do it myself.
Right.
Or I mean, if I wasn't the first person, because I honestly thought at first, like when he said electrocute yourself, I thought like die.
Oh right, yeah,
And
like
so-
it would be an instant death thing.
Yeah, and that kind of thing, I think I probably wouldn't necessarily be able to do it. But if I knew like it was just going to hurt really bad, I would totally do me.
I guess that's a good point. Like, if I knew for a fact that it would be painful but not lethal,
Right.
that does kind of change things. Except it doesn't. I'd electrocute the shit out of you.
Nice. Thanks. If I
Alright.
thought I was going to die, like if I was the first person, I would probably. Well, no, I would like if it was us. Like if I was in a situation of the characters, I would probably do you. But like being the parent, I probably wouldn't. I probably
Right.
wouldn't electrocute my
Okay,
kid.
well then let's change it for you. You're sitting across from Sasha Grey, not from the movie, but regular Sasha Grey, everyday Sasha Grey, complete stranger
Oh.
to you. Would you do it?
Oh God, I think it would be the same.
Yeah.
Like, I think if I was afraid that I was gonna, if I was gonna die, I would probably like shock her. But if I knew I wasn't, I would take it myself.
Here's the thing:
Hoping
is,
that later
in
on,
case,
she would like think I was a great guy afterwards. And
My thing is I don't think that her being a woman would affect it at all for me. I'd still be like, you know what? Nah, you can get zapped.
nice.
All right.
What's next?
Let's see. The second game was stab the person next to you with an ice pick,
Okay,
or whip Travis 3 times.
I would probably.
And
Whip...
we'll put David in the place of Travis.
Oh Jesus, that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
I'd probably whip David.
I could totally whip David. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Well,
I think
'cause
I would
here's
have a
why
problem
is
stabbing somebody.
I couldn't trust myself to stab somebody properly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Knowing my luck, I would fuck it up somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Or I wouldn't stab like enough. Like I couldn't.
Yeah, like Shep
I
wouldn't be
couldn't, like-
satisfied.
yeah,
You'd
I
be like,
couldn't,
no, man,
like-
that was a scratch. You got to do it again.
Yeah, I couldn't like get enough downforce to actually penetrate. I would like wuss out and just do it halfway.
Welcome to your sex life. Hey.
Wow.
So question 3
Sure.
was that should have been the barrel one, yeah? Round 3's barrels?
Yes.
All right, so I mean, I've already given my response to that. I'd take the barrel. You?
That would be really tough for me because I really am scared of drowning.
But on the opposite side, you have any possibility for what's in that card.
I would probably honestly almost take the barrel, I think.
Here's my thing. I guess maybe it would change a little bit if I saw somebody have a positive result with the card before.
Yeah, if I was definitely in a situation where I saw somebody get their hand blown off or have to cut their eye or something, if I was in Iris's position, I would totally take the barrel.
Well, that's the thing, though, is if I was in Iris's position and let's say Peter blew his hand off again because fuck Peter. But Lucas, like, his card was hug Shep. Let's go with that. That's your punishment.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't seem horrible.
I would maybe take my chance.
I might reconsider it then, yeah.
Yeah, but at that point...
like, since I hadn't seen anybody have a good card yet...
Right.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then question 4, shoot somebody or walk away. And I would totally shoot you. I'm sorry.
I would. You know what? Here's
but it's
the thing.
like, especially if it was a game of 8 people.
If it was like, if I went through everything
died, I'd feel bad if I didn't get the money from it.
Yeah, if I went through everything everybody went through, if I was in that kind of state, I might do it.
Here's the funny
That's
thing,
horrible. Like that's absolutely a horrible way to actually look at it. But I think at least I would seriously have to consider it.
Here's the interesting note. I was thinking about this when I first watched the film. Is Iris makes it out like really light, like beyond the psychological scarring. But it's like she gets electrocuted once.
She gets stabbed.
She gets stabbed, but it doesn't hit anything important.
Right. Yeah, because she still takes a shower and like gets dressed and everything, so she's obviously not bad enough that.
I mean, it doesn't need any medical attention.
Right.
Held underwater for 2 minutes, but she makes it through that just fine.
Right.
And then she shoots somebody. It's like, so overall, her overall damage is next to nothing.
Right.
Also, I was just looking at my notes, and I completely missed this, but during the ice pick scene, I had written down where Shep says, are you either going to whip Travis or give Linda, I think, the old in and out.
Right.
Or I think it might have been asked to Sasha.
Yeah.
And of course, I've got written in my notes, I'd give Sasha the old in and out.
Yeah, he says that to Linda.
I had to bring that to attention.
Nice.
Oh, dude, I'm not even done.
Okay.
You thought I was done?
No.
Fuck that.
Okay, cool.
All right, bonus round, question 1. All right, so would you rather play Would You Rather with Shep or with Zoe from our last film? Because here's the thing.
Zoe probably.
Is Shep at least gives you the chance to be set for life.
Yeah.
Zoe just has you asking or answering questions that are very loaded.
Yeah.
Shep knows how to play the game right because it escalates.
Do both
at a steady pace. Zoe jumps right in.
Do you have to like act on it in both, or is it just where like you play a game with Zoe?
Shep's the only one that makes you act on it. Zoe though brings you intense social embarrassment.
I'd go with Zoe.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to do the same. It's like,
I'm not scared of it, but I'm not like a person who would survive that game.
Right.
I would die.
All right. So now the rest of these were pulled from the internet.
Okay.
All right. So question 1. This is a classic. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 50 duck-sized horses?
Probably 50 duck-sized horses.
See,
I've been like ran over, not ran over, but actually I was almost ran over by a horse. Like it charged and like hit me.
Right.
And it knocked me like 15 or 20 feet away, and I like did some James Bond roll and came back up, but like I couldn't hardly move my body the next day. Like it racked me hardcore. Like,
well, here's my thing.
And ducks are mean.
I
had a duck once, and he was mean.
I was watching some League of Legends stuff, and one of the casters was asked this once through Twitter, and he brought up a good point. It really depends on the terrain, but assuming that we're fighting on land, all right, I might go with the horse-sized duck, and here's why. Is because I feel like at that size, the duck's legs would collapse.
Oh, that's true.
Thus crippling it. So it's like, from there, I'm pretty sure I could find something on the ground to fight back with, or I wouldn't even have to actually fight it because it's already crippled and I can get away.
Right.
It feels like the duck-sized horses, though, just based off of the fact that they are still horses, I feel like I wouldn't be able to naturally get away from them.
That's a good point.
So question 2. I mean, you and I are both fans of horror films,
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure you've had asked this yourself once or twice. Would you rather be the first killed in a group or the last killed?
Probably the first killed. Like I'm getting killed either way.
Yeah.
Probably the last.
I would probably have to go first killed just because it's like
chances
you don't
are
have
I'm
to
getting
deal with everybody else.
Yeah, but chances are I'm probably getting laid while I get killed.
It's a good point. I mean,
that's usually how it goes down.
Or it could be interrupted by a zombiever.
I think I'd still go out first, just so I wouldn't know. It would come out of air. I wouldn't be like
you wouldn't
scared.
Have that idea of a killer coming after you. You'd be done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like in absolute terror for however X amount of time before I died. Like that would be a horrible way to go.
All right, so question 3 is a bit of a moral dilemma.
Sure.
Would you rather steal an old woman's purse or tell 10 orphans that Christmas is canceled?
Steal an old woman's purse.
Yeah, I would do the same, because here's the thing is I could profit out of that. I can't profit from orphans.
I would feel, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to see that.
Yeah. All right, question 4. Would you rather kill one person you know or 3 strangers?
Oh, jeez.
Now, for me, it comes down to a number game. I would have to kill the one person I know.
Really?
But here's the thing is they don't list how well you have to know them. So it could be like, I know this person's name. I can stab them. And it doesn't really go into, like, do you have to know them personally? Because I could be like...
That's true.
Kill one person you know. Well, I know, through media, Donald Trump. I mean,
Sure.
Can I just, give him the old in and out?
Yeah, Joey from GameStop. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're done, buddy.
This guy at Starbucks, he fucked up my espresso. Like, there we go, we're done.
Your face is going underneath that steamer.
Exactly, but then I don't know if maybe it has to be a friend or a relative, because it's like, oh yeah, you have to kill your grandma.
Here's the thing: if it was somebody I cared about, I'd do the 3 strangers.
I could see that. Yeah.
If I had to kill them anyway, I would just do it and have fun with it.
I would probably still do the
totally...
one person I know if I got to choose who that one person was.
I could definitely be a jigsaw for sure.
All right, and number 5 is pulled out of one of Achievement Hunter's videos. This is a classic between Mike and I, so you might appreciate this.
Nice.
All right. So would you rather take a dick in the ass or in the mouth?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Make your choice. This was a very polarizing question.
Oh my God. I can't.
Nope, gotta do one.
I can't even.
There's no Shep here to pull the trigger for you.
I take the bullet.
You can't.
There's
no Shep here.
God, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna take in the mouth. I'm just gonna close my eyes and pretend.
See, that's the thing is somebody else has brought that up before, because it's like if you do it that way, like it could be in and out and it's done. Right. But here's the thing: is like I mean, you got the whole taste thing going for you, and
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, see, it can be bad.
Oh my God, I can't believe you. I should have known.
I have to choose the opposite. I have to choose the opposite answer, because it's like I can maybe get something out of that. There's a chance.
You heard it here first, folks. Jesus Christ. So final thoughts. Since we're getting a little winded again.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Dude, I fucking love this movie. That's the thing is, all right. So we finished up Zombievers last week, and I immediately went to Netflix. I'm like, oh hey, I've got this on our possibly list. I'll just watch this.
Okay.
For the hell of it. And as soon as I finished it, I messaged you, and I was like, dude, we need to push whatever was next out of the way, because this needs to be talked about.
Right. Yeah, and I'd wanted to see it anyway. I mean, it was already on my Netflix list.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad I did. I did. I really liked it. I was impressed. Wasn't sure I was going to as much as I did, but it reminded me of it was like if you take Saw and House on Haunted Hill and put it together.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's that whole stay in the mansion the whole night.
Yeah.
Gain $1 million, but also there's a serial killer.
Yeah. So do you know what we're watching next week?
We've kind of tossed a couple things around,
okay.
But I think we're gonna wind up going with Parasomnia. I mean, it came out.
Do you want to do Parasomnia
once or twice
next
tonight?
Week?
I'm all for it. I haven't watched that in forever. I'd be down for another viewing.
Parasomnia is a great film, also with Jeffrey Combs, and actually the director of House on Haunted Hill made it. He actually mortgaged his house to make it. He put up his own money for it, which is like a big no-no in Hollywood. So
yeah, I got a fun fact about that. Where I think I first started watching his stuff from he did a Masters of Horror special forever ago.
Yeah, I think he did.
I think it's the first one I watched of that series, actually. And I guess that he repurposed some of the monsters from that into into Parasomnia, I guess.
I believe it. It was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm up for Parasomnia, and I think the week after that is a 4-week special. We're gonna do a favorite. And then I think the week after that, I think we got to do Thanatmorphose.
I'm all for it. Do you have a copy of that yet, or?
I do. Yeah, I do have a copy, and you can borrow it.
Okay, cool. Because I was about to say I might be a little screwed otherwise.
Yeah. So I think the next couple things are we're gonna do Parasomnia next. We're gonna do I think Cabin in the Woods, right?
Yeah. I think that's our plan for our 4 weeks.
We decided that once a month, so every 4 weeks, we'll do, instead of doing a lesser-known movie, we'll pick one of our favorites, and we'll do that. And I think Cabin in the Woods is going to be our first.
Yeah, and our favorites can be anything from something that's really mainstream to, I think we've got at one point, Itchy the Killer in there.
Sure.
because that's like one of my personal favorites.
Right.
Or, you know, I think we got a couple of them up there that are like a little bit lesser known, but we've also got stuff like Cabin in the Woods, and I think you put John Wick on there. I don't think you did.
I hope we
need
did,
to,
because that's obvious. That's one of my favorite movies. So that's kind of what we got coming up next. Next week is Parasomnia. I think you actually have to watch it on like Amazon Prime or something if you don't have a copy of it. It's not on Blu-ray.
I think it probably is pretty cheap on Amazon, though. I mean, it's probably under like the $7 to $10 bin.
Yeah, I meant it's on Blu-ray, but it's not on Netflix, is what I meant. I'm sorry. And before we go, not to stretch this out any longer, but I really wanted to start doing this last weekend. I want to mention a great DVD commentary every week at the end of the episode, because I am a DVD commentary freak. I absolutely love them.
Honestly, I got into commentaries because you used to like rip them onto like CDs or whatever, and we would listen to them on our way back.
Yeah, so Fred lives about 4 or 5 hours away. So when I go
about
get them,
4.5.
I would burn them onto disc, commentaries rip them onto disc, and then we just listen to them. And I listen to them all the time when I'm writing to try to get me in the mood. So you know, so each week I'd like to point out a great commentary or a really crappy commentary. This week we're going to start out with the Blair Witch Project. It has the main guys at Haxon, has the 2 directors, has the producer, actually 2 of the other producers. So 4 of the 5 Haxon guys, I think. Anyway, it's a great look at how the film was made, kind of the challenges, some surprise twists, like one person disappears in the movie and it wasn't supposed to be that person originally. And they explain why they switched that around. And they're very funny guys who have a really good time. And I love the commentaries where people joke around a lot and have a good time. And so this week I seriously suggest checking out Blair Witch Project. Next week we're doing Parasomnia, so watch that before we do it. Send us a tweet at FilmGuildCast, and let us know what you thought of Parasomnia. Let us know what you thought of Would You Rather, actually, as well. And definitely share us with your friends, because we could use a lot of, right now it's all word of mouth. If you listen to our podcast, please let your friends know about it. Feel free to interact with us. How can they find you on Twitter specifically if they, you know?
They can always find me at Mr. Ectatus. Is it an underscore?
Mm-hmm.
It's an underscore, it is.
Yeah. And you can find me at Smeghead. Every once in a while you hear people refer to me as Smeg, and that's why, at Smeghead, with 2 G's. I don't know.
No A.
And no A. Yeah, so maybe at some point we'll have some people joining us. I know my good friend Fester is crying because we're doing this podcast now and he doesn't get to do it. So I might let him sit in on one sometime in the future.
When we ever get to a Bills Above episode.
Oh my God, you're right.
We'd have to have him on there, yeah. And when we do the Soska, if we do a Soska Twins one, we're going to need to get Terry on, I guess.
Or, you know, actually I might try to see if I can get a hold of one of the Soska Twins.
That'd be pretty neat. I'd be all for it.
They are friends with my uncle, so we'll see. But anyway, so thank you very much for checking us out on the second episode. We went a little long again, but I'm just going to post it up anyway. I'll edit it down a little bit, post it up. It's, you know, it's a thing. Whatever.
I mean, they can deal with it, right? I mean, look, they made the conscious choice. Would you rather do anything else or listen to this?
Oh God, please don't say that. I don't want to hear the number of people that say I'd rather do something else.
Actually, no, I really am curious.
That's awesome. Please don't. Yeah, so anything else, buddy?
No, I just posed my audience question for the week, so I'm done. I'm checked out already.
So let Fred know at Mr._Actatus, or at FilmGuildCast. You can also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/FilmGuildCast, and you know, let us know what you're thinking. You know, suggest some movies for us if you want, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much for listening, guys. I am Jason. I will talk to you later. Have an excellent film viewing week.
I got nothing.
Okay, there you go, guys. Take care. Thanks for listening.